actions and hear from a community panel of task force members. Following that, we will share ways that you can participate in and contribute to the next stages of the plan's development and what implementation of the plan looks like. As part of that, we will be hearing from Tom Donnelly from the Federal Emergency Management Agency about the partnership that FEMA, the Environmental Protection Agency, and the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco have teamed up on to help communities adapt to climate change. After that, we will hold a question and answer session with all of our panelists from the evening. Okay, please unshare the presentation screen. So to begin our program this evening, we want to acknowledge that this climate action plan is for the lands and water in the entire Methow Valley, which are all part of cultural landscapes, as traditional lands that have been stewarded since time immemorial by the Methow people. Indigenous people worldwide are responsible for the continued stewardship of over 80% of the existing land-based biodiversity on Earth, which was supported in a talk on the urgency of climate change this past week by the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, speaking to the importance of indigenous knowledge. Such deep relationships and responsibility through the generations is what is needed, especially at this time of seeking climate solutions. Moving beyond acknowledgement, we can each respect tribal sovereignty, support truth and reconciliation efforts, and most importantly, build relationships based on reciprocity. It is an honor now to introduce Amelia Marchand, the director of the Environmental Trust for the Confederated Tribes of the Colville Reservation, speaking about where values align in our climate work and what is important to her and her work in the Environmental Trust program. Amelia and the Environmental Trust are already thinking about and taking action on many of the things we are talking about here tonight. And we are grateful for the interest in supporting each other's efforts in this work. Welcome, Amelia.
So this isn't Amelia, but this is Jasmine Minbashian representing Amelia. She's wrote me to let me know that she lost internet service about 30 minutes ago, and her cell service is very poor where she lives. So these are some of the challenges of working and organizing in rural places, which I'm sure we're going to touch on later. But she wanted me to convey the 3 points she planned on addressing tonight from her perspective as the director of the Environmental Trust Program for the Colville Tribe. And I'm just going to read them to you here. One, she wanted to encourage the role of local government to engage in climate adaptation and mitigation. 2, she wanted to focus efforts on holistic integrated approaches that are risk averse and equitable to all sectors of society. And 3, identify opportunities that will support long-term intergenerational justice. And she apologizes that she's having internet trouble and looking forward to partnering with our efforts here in the Methow watershed.
Thank you for relaying those messages, Jasmine. I really appreciate those. Okay, so I think we'll move on then to the mayoral panel for this evening. So we are fortunate to have the strong town leadership that we have in the Methow here with us tonight. Is Mayor of Pateros, Carlene Anders, Mayor of Winthrop, Sally Ranzau, and Mayor of Twisp, Ing-Moody, to speak to us about why the Methow Valley needs a climate action plan. So welcome, mayors.
Good evening, Joshua. Thank you. This is Carlene, and it's exciting to be here tonight after a year or more of continually working on this project. And I know that there's been so many different people involved, and the urgency around addressing some of these issues right now is we've gone through three years out of 6 of these firestorms and had major impacts. And it is time that people are excited and participating and wanting to make a difference in their lives long term. through adaptation, mitigation, preparedness, all these pieces, particularly around the wildfire, smoke, and just the environment in general. And so I'm really excited again about getting to participate in this, and hope that we will be able to implement some of these pieces in the plan over time, and really look forward to more community involvement all across the county for this. And I think Sue is next.
Okay, thanks, Carlene. I appreciate it. So first of all, I just want to emphasize to answer the question, why we're involved. I just want to emphasize the desire for a resilient Methow as being really at the core of why I think we're all here today. And I really applaud the work that's being done collaboratively on a long-term plan to achieve that goal. It's more important now than ever that everyone be part of this effort collaboratively. There are many reasons why the town of Twisp has been involved from the beginning in the work of the task force. And I want to shout out especially a thanks to Councilmember Mark Easton for attending all of the meetings on behalf of myself and the rest of the council and reporting back. The climate plan addresses and intersects with many fundamental areas of our daily lives and the quality of life that we hope to see in the future. I guess if I had to name a few reasons why the town has participated, I would start with the need to continue to ensure, of course, for us, particularly why, well, the water issue, as you all know, it remains a critical aspect of everything for the town, available for our future residents and businesses. And having the fact that we have gone through a moratorium in the town of Twisp is definitely critical, because we know very well firsthand the impacts of what not having enough water means to our community. It has had a profound impact on affordable housing and other issues, and the fact that unincorporation for a town is potentially real without water in planning for our future. Additionally, I have to say, echoing what Carlene said, wildfires is a huge factor. And of course, we've had firsthand experience in this, but also in 2015, we recognize even the devastation and potentially tragic impacts of ever-growing larger and faster moving wildfires that we've seen in the past. And I recall myself the anxiety of seeing the fire crest into town after sunset when air attack were no longer available, and we had to solely rely on the heroic efforts of the firefighting ground crew to keep the flames from reaching homes within the town. But it's not just the existence of wildfire itself, but also the impact that they have on a physical level to our community's health and well-being, the long-term impacts of months of unhealthy smoke inhalation for everyone, and most especially for our vulnerable populations, those with health conditions, seniors, and those without the means to escape the toxic situation, is very disturbing. Additionally, we all know that disturbances to our natural environment can also have a profound impact on our community's economic well-being. And as in all emergencies, they do come at a high cost and have impact on the many levels, but varying degrees to both lives and livelihoods in general. But I don't want to end on a negative note. I want to share the good news, and that we can make choices to be proactive and in the process become more resilient as a community itself. And in doing so, I just want to share a few points that Twisp has already systematically begun, with the recognition that this work does need to be carried on and shepherded into the future. And so a few key points I just want to say, highlights of good news: water conservation and improvements to prevent leaks, and proper metering and rates adjustment have been really key. We have obviously gone through the moratorium, had gone through a situation where we didn't have enough water, to the point where we do have some more water now available. And that was largely due through a lot of conservation effort. Wastewater, and making sure that our treatment plant produces quality water going back into the rivers, has been really critical for us as a town. And support of the transit system, as I know the other cities in our county have also supported. And street improvements that we've made to connect sidewalks to our neighborhoods, and thereby further enhancing the ability for people to travel without having to get into their vehicles, and reducing energy consumption and light pollution by putting in new LED lights in all of our downtown street lights were replaced, protecting our dark skies as well. And then lastly, the main thing I want to say is the support of partnerships that we have with others in our community that are doing great work. And I'll just mention Methow Recycles as one of them for the metal drives that we work together with, and town chipping program. So basically it's a start. We're becoming resilient. It is a choice, and it is a choice to be proactive versus reactive. And I guess if I could say, if we're given a choice, I hope we collectively choose to take that choice and be proactive. So thank you all for being here today. And with that, I'd like to pass on to Sally.
I'm here somewhere. There I am. Okay. Thank you, Sue. Yeah, this is a fantastic opportunity. Thank you so much for having me and allowing us to talk a little bit about Winthrop. My whole idea is that we need to move forward. We can't keep talking about ideas. We need to just actually make ideas happen. And when ideas happen, then the climate will come along, or we will be able to help with some of these different things. So the first thing that we're doing in town is, as you all know, Winthrop is a tourist community. And our biggest challenging is balancing tourism with the residents and the local citizens, and trying to keep everybody happy. The tourists, of course, they allow us to have a lot of the little things that we have here. You know, the trail system that we have in town, the Susie Stevens Trail, the Riverwalk Trail that's proposed. We have a lot of emphasis on non-motorized transportation. Non-motorized transportation, of course, is the most efficient. And it's also going to be the best as far as the environment is concerned. So our focus is on trying to just keep those trails for walking. We're also in the process of purchasing the Meadowlark Park, which is the Methow Conservancy has purchased 142 acres up on the hillside of Studhorse, adjoining town. And the town has received an RCO grant to purchase that land. It'll probably go through in January. There's 3 miles of trails up there, which we consider basically a walking trail and a neighborhood trail. We want to keep it a neighborhood trail. I don't want this one to be advertised for the tourists. I want the people who are walking it now to continue to walk it for as long as they can. That is going to be a huge asset to our community, and I really want to thank the Methow Conservancy for all they have done. One of the reasons we have all of the beautiful things that we have here in the Valley for recreation is because of the Methow Conservancy at the Methow Trails Association. Those two organizations are keeping the rest of us from being able to get outside. We are able to go places because of them. The Forest Service lands around it and the terrible fires that have been happening in the past years are evident every time I go for a hike up in the Pasayten or a backpack, and you're walking for miles and miles and miles through black sticks and climbing over black logs, and it's a huge impact. We can't afford to lose any more of our forest. So anything that we can do in order to help keep those massive fires from going is extremely important. I'm not going to get into some of the details of our progress because I know Rockland Culp is also on this, and I think she's going to be talking about some of those too, and I don't want to steal some of her thunder. So, but I do want to thank Rockland for all that she does. And she's the reason that we have all the resources and all of the trails that we have right now. So thank you. And I'll turn it on to whoever's next, unless there are questions.
Well, we'll